Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Meatbags stream of E3 2018. We are your hosts, Akil and Charlie, who has a snazzy haircut.
Allow it, bruv.
They don't know, but he has a snazzy haircut. We are on... What day is it today? Is it June...
9th.
9th, yeah. And I think today we have our first conference, which is EA. Is it EA first? Let me check. I'm just on GameSpot.
It's either Microsoft or EA. I've forgotten which order it's in. I think it's EA, then Microsoft tomorrow, but I could be wrong.
EA always starts first, I think. So it could be them first. I'm not looking forward to EA that much. But let's get into things. Now, we're going to go through what's been confirmed for E3. And we're also going to go through after that what's rumored. Then after that, at the end, we'll talk about what we personally really hope is there and what we are really hyped for. So to start with, since you was talking about it some weeks ago, I know you're super hyped for this. Like, super duper. Look at the girly giggle. We're going to talk about Hitman 2, which was recently announced, and the trailer and gameplay was shown off, which isn't actually Hitman 2, it's like Hitman 9 or something, but Hitman 2.
Mate, it's a direct sequel to Hitman, so let's just call it Hitman 2. In the same way that if Xbox announce a new Xbox and they call it the Xbox 2, I will have max respect.
Very angry.
I
will be very angry.
I will have the most amount of respect for them I've ever had in my entire life.
And then they call the 8K version of it Xbox 2X.
Oh,
or Xbox 2Y.
Don't act like you wouldn't love it. Don't act like you wouldn't love it, because you know you would.
Dude, I hate Microsoft and their bullshit naming conventions, man. Windows 8 to 10. Where's 9? Where is 9, Microsoft?
Don't need 9.
You guys can't count.
Get rid of 9. It was a failure. Let's just move on.
There's no 9. So what's your thoughts on this new Hitman?
It's gonna be sick.
Because I know you really like. Was it a reboot? The one that was just
sort
called Hitman?
Of. So they had the original ones, which sort of the original ones in my mind end at Blood Money, because that was the last one which sort of followed the same formula. Then they had a sort of reboot-ish one called Absolution, which is actually, I think, really good.
I like that game.
I think it's really good, and I think especially if you've never played Hitman, it's a game you'll love. But it does have its own issues, and it's not as good as, say, Blood Money was. And then the one that came out in 2016, which was just called Hitman,
was episodic, wasn't it?
It was episodic, but they sort of went back to the structure they used to have, where it was just like they would plop you in a massive, they'd plop you in like a small but big open world, and then just say, figure out how to kill your target, go. And like that is the formula which makes those games so good. And so them making a sequel to that, this one isn't going to be episodic, which I think is like good and bad. But it's just going to be excellent. I just cannot wait, because those games are absolute perfection for me.
You know, I think that Hitman is going in a way that I wish Assassin's Creed did.
Yeah, actually being an assassin.
Yeah, you know, like when I was talking about how I loved Unity, and you was going on about how it was bad though. I realized what I really loved about Unity. You know the black box missions that they introduced, where it's like you could do different things to take out this one target. It feels like Hitman fully realizes that and just sort of embraces it completely. It's always done that, but even more so nowadays.
Well, that's why I've always said that Shadow of Mordor is actually the best Assassin's Creed game, because it's like there's like a list of targets that you have to assassinate, and it's just like, go. You have the tools, just go and like figure out how to kill them.
Not just tools, you have freaking underlings. I love that.
It's like it took the formula that it should have gone and like perfected it in a lot of ways, and then Shadow of War wasn't as good. But
did you play a Shadow of War, by the way?
A bit.
I got bored of it.
Yeah,
I really did.
I played it at my cousin's house, and I wasn't as hyped about it as all those other things.
As you would say, it's just too much bloat. Too much bloat.
That was my concern. Like, they could have gone a really interesting direction with it, but I don't know. It didn't seem. It's very much the Rayman Legends to Rayman Origins.
Oh, get out. Get out with this horse shit. Are you expecting them to announce a new Shadow of game at E3?
No.
I don't.
No way. No way.
All
It's
right.
way too soon.
On the topic of Warner Bros., the guys who published Shadow of War, there are rumors that Mortal Kombat is going to be announced either today or tomorrow. And personally, I'm super freaking hyped. I know you're not a big fighting game buff, but what's your thoughts on Mortal Kombat?
It's my third favorite fighting franchise, maybe. I mean, like my favorite is Tekken. Um, but
Your favorite Tekken?
yeah, I flipping love Tekken. But I'm not very good at it, but I love it. I think Mortal Kombat's one of the ones where it's in a very unique position because it's very, very fun no matter how good you are at fighting games. And although I know Street Fighter has a lot of characters that people love and stuff, and I'm not saying it's not fun, but I think like the way Mortal Kombat plays and the way it presents itself makes it very, very accessible. And so it's one of those things I don't think I'd ever buy, but I love playing with mates and whatever.
You like the accessibility of it, and like this. What do you think of the story mode? Because that's one thing I think NetherRealm, whether it be Injustice or Mortal Kombat, beat the hell out of everyone else at. They actually make fighting games with interesting story modes. Like Injustice 2, I played last year, and that was one of my favorite games of that year. Graphics were unbelievable, and the story mode itself was like a DC animated movie but in CGI. It was so well made, and it sort of leaves everyone else in the dust. And I think a lot of fighting games are sort of trying to catch up with Injustice and Mortal Kombat story mode because they see, hey, people are buying these games because, you know, they actually give a damn about the story mode instead of just going arcade mode. There's a little bit of an ending. We don't really care. It's mostly about the mechanics. But Mortal Kombat and Injustice and NetherRealm in general feel like they are trailblazing.
Yeah, I never got around to playing the story modes in them, but well, I did Injustice. I really like that one.
Which one? 1 or 2?
One I enjoyed the most. I haven't played 2 properly yet.
2 is great.
But the story mode is one of the things that actually is one of the reasons I never buy fighting games is because they don't have a story mode, and the arcade, because I'm not that good and I'm never ever really going to dedicate myself to get good at them. I don't find that much enjoyment from playing online. Well, next to no enjoyment playing online, being frank about it. And the arcade modes are fun, but never that fulfilling. And so the idea of the story mode was what attracted me most to it. I just never got around to it because just didn't. It's a fighting game, so I just didn't really.
Okay, I think that's probably why Smash Bros is something that you're sort of ambivalent towards.
There's nothing there, bro. It's rubbish.
I love the collectible nation of Smash Bros. I'm a collectible fiend. We'll get to Smash Bros later when we get to the Nintendo segment.
Yeah.
But what else is coming out or has been shown off? Well, funny thing, this E3, we talked about before this stream, but it feels like towards E3, everyone's sort of been blowing their load and going, well, we don't want to get our games overshadowed at E3, so let's just show them off now, like towards the lead up. So while everyone's paying attention to the E3 and everyone's getting hype, because I think a lot of people are scared that some of the big titles that are coming out, such as Sony's E3 press conference or Xbox's or EA's or whatever, they're going to take a lot of attention away from some of the lesser known titles that they normally jam in between them. Like, if you remember the previous E3s where, let's say in the Sony conference, they'll have one segment dedicated to, let's say, The Last of Us, and another segment dedicated to Spider-Man, and then they'll have a segment which is like 5 games in one compared to that one long segment dedicated to one game. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of them have been announced, like Hitman 2 and Assassin's Creed, for example. You could imagine
that one was leaked.
You could imagine them getting announced at E3, but have been announced earlier, possibly because they were leaked, and so they just got out. Once the leak could happen, they were just like, screw it, just put the publishing out, and then we'll deal with the consequences later. But like maybe it's a trailer that we've been seeing at E3, for example, and they've just put that out now, and then we'll see gameplay later or something like that. But there has been a lot of people just sort of seeming to get ahead of themselves, and I'm wondering whether it's because they heard something big is coming, and so they want to get away. I don't know whether I have no idea what that would be in reality. Like there's a possibility of a Superman game coming, but I don't think that's so big it would
Rocksteady?
Supposedly, but I don't think that's
I hope not.
I don't think that's so big it would blow people away. I don't see Fallout 76 blowing people away because we already know about it. They've pre-announced that.
Yeah,
I don't
the same
see
engine and everything.
Yeah, I don't see anything really that we know of, and so it's interesting to me because we're getting all this early stuff, and I know I've seen a lot of people talking about it almost diminishing their excitement because the stuff is coming early. But if anything, it's making me more excited because I'm like, well, what the heck don't we know about?
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as you, because like this is the first time where Sony has said we have 4 games we're gonna show off.
Yeah.
And they detailed it straight away, like Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima,
Oh, yes.
Death Stranding. I'm super hyped for that. We'll get into that too. And what's the 4th one?
Was it Days
Spider-Man.
Gone? Oh, Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, because Days Gone they actually showed off before. This is
and announced the release date already.
That's really cool. So it makes me think, like, what do they have hiding? Because E3 for any gamer is like Christmas. E3's Christmas. It's Christmas and Super Bowl in one. I love how I say that, and you just have a shot of alcohol.
It's not alcohol. It's Pepsi Max.
It looks like
it's Pepsi Max.
Pepsi Max.
It's Pepsi Max. I'm yeah. There's a lot of things that are really exciting about it. Sony's is the one that I'm like dying to hear about because mainly, do you know what it is, right? Death Stranding is the most Kojima thing that's ever happened in the entire history of the world. They went up to him, they gave him all of the money and went, do whatever the hell you want, and he was like, oh, okay, babies, and like thumbs up, and like he's just gone a bit mad. And so I'm really excited to see maybe partially like the Days Gone stuff and them doing this like lead up thing they're doing on the PlayStation 4. Maybe that's I don't think we're going to see gameplay of Death Stranding just because I don't know what that would mean.
No, we have to see it at this point. Like,
I don't think we will. When do you think it's going to come out?
Death Stranding was announced 2 years ago at this point. 2016. Yep. So far, he's had like 1 teaser trailer, another one after that, and I think a 3rd one. And it's been in game. It's all been in game, but there's been no gameplay at all. Kojima, I love you, man.
But you have to show some at this point. Engine.
Yeah, it's in engine, but at this point, we have to see something. Kojima, I love Metal Gear.
When do you think it's coming out though?
I think we might actually just see it.
Like, when does it get released? When does it get released?
Funnily enough, I'm gonna actually take a really risky bet here and say,
hang on.
It's released this year.
This year?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take a risky ass bet and say this year.
You're no, that's just a no, bro. I'm not even saying next year. I think it's the year after.
Do you want to know why I say that?
I'm saying like Christmas 2020.
Nah, that's Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it'll go up against Cyberpunk and beat it.
You want to know the reason why I say that? Ever since I want to say Fallout 4, and people going, stop announcing things at E3 that are 2 years off. We hate it. A lot of devs have been like, we're not going to show it off at E3 if it's not going to be coming out the same year. Like, Nintendo has been bigger that. They don't show anything unless it's at E3. They used to do it, but after Breath of the Wild, it was like, nah, we're going to only show it off if it's going to come out the same year. And it feels like something that all the devs are jumping on now. Like, remember when people were going, it's 60 FPS? And all the devs started to go, it's 60 FPS now!
Don't start me.
And like, it was the buzzword. And then before that, it was 1080p. It's still the same thing now, where it's like, it's coming out this year!
I think there was a massive backlash, which I'm quite happy about the idea of showing things that are closer to release, like showing it within the year. And then you had Fallout, and I think GTA 5 was, I want to say the cycle on GTA 5 was a year max. I don't think
GTA 5 was announced like 2 years before it came out. No. I remember that being a while before, and then like they were very, very quiet about it, and then towards its release they really started to bump it up, and it's like, it's coming out, here's all the information. Because that Rockstar are fantastic at promotion. So but
that's what I mean. There was a couple of examples in a row. Maybe not GTA 5. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But definitely Fallout. But around that time, there was a couple of examples which were like, do you know what? We can release stuff within the same year of announcing it. And now like Hitman 2 is coming out this year. Team Sonic Racing is coming out this year, and it was announced this year.
Are you hyped for that, by the way?
Of course I am. You know, listen. Right?
You said it. Diddy Kong Racing.
Bruv, you know me, yeah? If there's a kart racer going on, Charlie Walsh is involved, right? And then you get me the Team Sonic one, which objectively so far is not amazing, right? They've not like blown anyone out of the water. But I'm just looking at their previous two and thinking they're both bangers. We're going to get another one, which just sounds like Crash Tag Team Racing. That's a banger. Let's just go. Let's get involved. I'm all about it. But there's been a couple in a row where they said, look, it's coming out this year. And I think that's starting to become a trend, which is very, very good for me. Because we don't need to know things so far in advance. I heard some people... What do you think of this? I've heard some people recently making the argument that maybe games should be a bit more like films, where they announce they're working on it like 4 or 5 years before it comes out. Like they just announce they're writing a script for, say, Last of Us 3 or whatever it would be. Not that specifically, but you know what I mean. Like, I think that's a terrible idea. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, the thing is, I hate films when they're in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, every time I go to IGN and they say, "Oh, we're scripting Avatar 5 and 6," I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Or like, we're working on Avengers 4 and 5. I'm like, dude, I actually actively don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about films that are 4 or 5 years in the future. You don't even know if the actors in them will be alive. You don't know what's gonna be going on with the industry. I actually don't care. Like, if it's not coming out this year, next year, or at worst the year after, I don't want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for me, it's like, if it's not coming out next year or this year, don't tell me. Or if you're gonna tell me, just give me a slight hint. Just go, cool, you're gonna get Final Fantasy 16. Speaking of which, Square Enix is the actual worst at this. They are the worst.
They announced,
at this.
like, when was it? It was I
The
don't know if
worst.
it was last year or the year before, when they announced they were making a JRPG. Cheers, guys. I never would have guessed.
Thanks.
Never would have realised. I don't like.
I think
Here's some art we made of something that we might be making. Cheers. Thanks for that. That was real useful. I'm really glad you gave me that information.
They are the literal worst. I think the best is probably Bethesda, followed by, I want to say, actually Blizzard. Blizzard are great.
Blizzard are relatively good.
Yeah. On that same note, they've announced that they're making a new Diablo. They're probably going to be showing off at E3.
What's your opinion on Diablo?
That has me super hyped. I've never actually played Diablo before. That's one game where it's like, I've never played the games, but I enjoy what it tries to do. You know, it's just like an RPG, old school, not top down, isometric. And the lore, like, I know you're going to call me a nerd, but the lore of Diablo is... The lore of Diablo is actually really, really, really well made. And it makes me think that if they was to make a new Diablo, put it on Switch or PS4, don't do the whole online thing you do with Diablo 3, and just make it a damn good RPG. I'll be all in, man.
I don't know anything about lore. I played 3 for a bit, and it never grabbed me. Possibly because I was playing on a computer, and mouse and keyboard is objectively worse than a controller.
Yeah, like, mouse and keyboard hurts my hands.
Do you know what? It doesn't hurt my hands, it's just boring. But I like the idea. If they were to make a new one, and it was like, the thing is 3 was meant to be sort of more accessible for console players, and I don't think they quite managed to nail that. But if a potential one, say, came out day and date on a console, not even day and date, like with XCOM 2, say, like a year after or something, and they put a lot of effort into figuring out how to work it on console, I would be interested.
Yeah, especially if it's on Switch, because that's one thing Switch tends to be doing really good now. This year's been terrible for the Switch, but like, they're getting a lot of third-party games that, you know, I sort of like. You know, they got Doom recently, and
Wolfenstein's coming out.
Wolfenstein, that's another one too. If they was to put Overwatch in that'd be pretty cool too. So the idea of getting like Diablo on Switch and just playing it on that screen and just going anywhere I want with it, I'd like that.
I think once we get a full Switch online service, like when we fully know what that entails and everything's up and running with that, then we'll start to see possibly some third-party publishers, Bethesda notably, and maybe a couple of others, start to try and broach an online main games on Switch. So Diablo 4 would probably have a heavy online presence, and Overwatch and stuff like that. And we've already, and obviously there's one online only game coming out on Switch soon as well. So,
oh yeah, that's Resident Evil 7.
Oh, there's that as well. I was alluding to Fortnite.
Oh, which one were you talking about?
I was alluding to Fortnite, but flipping out, I
Fortnite guy.
I forgot Resident Evil. What's that? Didn't they say it's streaming only to Switch? Or something?
It's cloud, which makes me think, why bother?
That's not going to run well.
Like, I recently played Yakuza 4 on PS Now. It actually was pretty fine. It's just if you leave it alone for a period of time, it will just shut the thing off.
Yeah.
And it won't save, and I get really mad. But Cloud, I'm not as down on Cloud as I was back at the beginning of this gen when the Xbox One came out, and it was like, the Cloud is going to be so great. The internet's actually a lot better these days, but it's still not at the point where I could go, we can rely on this now.
Yeah.
Maybe after next gen. Like, I remember Ubisoft saying recently that the gen after next will be cloud mostly.
I think the biggest
And I
problem
sort
is
of agree there.
there's still a large market where there's still the vast majority of the market in video
Yeah.
games can't access games reliably, playing them
Support it, yeah.
through the cloud. You might be able to upload and download saves, but even I can't do it, and I live in the middle of London. So, like, with that in mind, you imagine, for me, if it's bad, imagine anyone else. Like, I go to my granddad's house, for example, who lives in the countryside. Jesus Christ, I'm lucky if I get 1 megabyte per second, let alone whatever I need to play a game reliably through the cloud. And so it's it's one of those things where I can imagine people working their way towards it, but I don't know, like you say, maybe the gen after next or something. We'll see, we'll get it eventually, but I just don't know how soon it'll be.
Plus, Europe has better internet speeds than America. Like, it's noted, like, America has bad internet speeds.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see what they would have to deal with.
America's fastest internet is faster than ours, but in general, our internet's faster than theirs.
Yeah. I think it's because we have less people, so we just tend to have
We're smaller as well.
their internet.
Think about the size of, like, the UK compared to, like, America.
Like
Like, the size of our
size of
island is probably
New
the
York.
size of, like, one state for America,
Yeah, probably just New York.
basically.
Speaking of Bethesda, this was one of the confirmed games that I'm super hyped for, and I want to talk to you about this one. That's
Is it
Fallout 76.
Is it Hitman 2?
It's Hitman.
Can I speak about it? Yeah, what do you think about it?
No. The thing is, Fallout 76, I love, again, for the lore. Like, this is actually a prequel to all the previous Fallout games. So this is the
I'm going to
first
say this,
Fallout.
right? I'm going to say this now. I like Fallout lore. Carry on. I just want to make that point now. I just want to say that
Good,
now. I
mate.
want to get ahead of it. I'm not
Good.
going to mock you for once. Go on, lay it up, because it's actually kind of sick.
You know, he's being hypocrite. He's being very sarcastic right now.
I know.
He doesn't
I
like
genuinely
Fallout lore.
do. Like, I can't even lie to you.
Alright.
I genuinely do.
But yeah, this is before all of the vaults opened before. Like, so this is a prequel to every Fallout game that came before it, and that has me super hyped because the idea of going into Fallout, there's no super mutants yet. Brotherhood of Steel is just starting, and it's like this is the beginning of it all. Has me thinking where they could go with it. Like, what can you do? But there's another report that came out as well that was talking about co-op.
Right, yeah.
That's what has me a bit iffy.
Well-
Apparently, it's just like, it's actually just co-op. Like, when it was first reported, it was like multiplayer, but now it's just co-op.
I don't.
And I'm fine with that. As long as it has a damn good single player that I could just play on my own and just do as I normally do in Fallout, I'm completely fine with them having co-op.
I think if you're expecting a normal Fallout game, then you're not going to be happy. I think that all the reports that are coming out seem to me like they're trying something different, which I'm all for. Like, trying something different. I'm all about progression. Like, let's see where we can go with it, take something somewhere new, right? I think my most enjoyable mode, like, Fallout as a single player like experience, has always been the way I play. I would never ever.
Yeah.
I don't even play when other people are around. I just sit there. I just absorb it by myself. I want to be a loner. Leave me alone, right? That's what I'm saying. Leave me alone. I feel like they seem to be going down a multiplayer route. The one I enjoyed, the idea of co-op, nah, you're good. But the one I did enjoy is the idea that it was influenced by DayZ, Rust, and things like that. I love that idea of having a game set in the Fallout universe, a Fallout game, but with that sort of tendencies of, like, survival, like downplaying on, like, doubling down on the survival aspects, being like you launch into the world and then you just sort of have to survive. And I remember having loads of co-op experiences with DayZ, specifically with my friends, which I absolutely loved. And in that sense, I would be very happy. But I don't want a like, if you take, say, Fallout 4 and then just meant I could play it with my mate, I would not want to do that. But I would want a DayZ like experience inside the Fallout world.
Well, it seems like it. Well, from what we saw, they showed up in-engine like teaser, and that's Fallout 4. That is Fallout 4. This seems to be the New Vegas to Fallout 4's Fallout 3, where it's like they take what they made before, they put in a different setting, they reuse a lot of stuff, but also do a lot of new stuff, but do different things with the gameplay. Like in Fallout New Vegas, I remember them going, well, you have this faction now, you have this faction now.
Yeah.
Quests are way more open-ending, you can finish them in all these different ways. There's now a different armor stat, and it seems they're going to do the same thing with Fallout 76, which has I want to see what they do. Like, the thing about Bethesda is they're in a very precarious position. I think Bethesda currently are the most interesting developer at E3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what to expect from everyone else. I know what to expect from EA. I know what to expect from... Well, Ubisoft is secondary in interest as well. But I know what to expect from EA, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo,
FIFA.
Square. Yeah.
Get hyped.
Sportsket and Pele.
Get hyped about
But,
PeleCon 2018. It's going to be excellent.
It's gonna be great. But Bethesda isn't just Bethesda; it's also ZeniMax and idSoft and so on. So they have a lot of potential. Like, you have the potential for, well, I guess we're gonna go into the actual conferences now.
Sure.
Segue. As I said, Fallout 76, potential new Doom.
A new Doom would be amazing.
I don't think. Yeah, you really like Doom, didn't you? I played a bit of it.
You need to play it. Like, it's the second best first-person shooter in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
I think your first is Vanquish, isn't it?
No, that's not a first-person shooter, bro. That's a third-person shooter. Although I do adore,
Really?
You know, I adore Vanquish. Vanquish is a
Okay, there's probably
screamer.
Titanfall.
It's Titanfall 2, my friend. Titanfall 2 is amazing, but Doom was so good. Like, taking the old school Doom and then modernizing it in really interesting ways, but keeping, like, because before you'd modernize it, like if you play Doom 3, for example, and it's just slow and like, oh, the jump scares and there's a closet full of monsters. Excellent. What a grand time to be alive.
It was cover based, wasn't it?
It wasn't even that. It was like, I don't even mind introducing cover elements, although I do think it sort of messes with the formula a bit. I think Doom is at its best when you're free, where you don't stop moving. Like, you can be in an arena fighting things. Like, for example, in Wolfenstein, like, you'll be in cover and you'll pop up, you'll shoot.
I didn't like
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Which one? The first one or second?
Like, the newest one. Like, I just got really bored of it.
The new Colossus.
Yeah, not the one that came out before the current one. Because I got it free on PSN Plus.
I really like it.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's really good.
I could see how you could like it, but
I think it takes itself a bit too seriously, but I really like it.
I can't. The aesthetic of it, the whole this is an alternate history thing, similar to what Fallout does, I fucking love, but I just can't, man. I just can't.
I mean, that's fair.
I just can't.
That's fair. But what I mean is, like, the gameplay of that made sense, basically, is what I'm saying. Doom's only works, like, as Doom. Like, if you want to do, like, Doom 3 is its own. I think Doom 3 is fine, but it just doesn't work as a Doom game, in my opinion. But Doom, the new one, like, if you don't stop moving, that's when it's at its best. When they just hurl enemies at you, right? There'll be, like, a gang of, like, 10 enemies who all have, like, vaguely different ways of attacking you, like slow moving bullets, different ways of approaching you. Some will rush you, some won't, and so it forces you to just carry on moving, and that gameplay is utterly brilliant. I sort of had this
thought earlier, like some weeks ago, and I realized that Doom really is Metal Slug.
In a 3, that's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout.
It makes me think, imagine if idSoft made a 3D version of Metal Slug. It's probably Doom.
That's not the worst shout in the world. But if we get a new Doom, I'd be very, very happy.
We'll probably get an announcement. I would like to see a new Quake. Like a legit new Quake. I loved Quake 3 Arena on Dreamcast.
So you're not including Quake Champions?
I never played Quake.
That one that literally just came out like last year.
That's like a multiplayer online thing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, but Quake was always that.
Yeah, but I played it offline. Like, I remember playing it at college as well, where my form tutor, he brought in Quake, and like we all played it multiplayer in our class. Like, a lot of people in the class never played Quake before. I had before. And it's like, this is 2011, and people were like, "Yo, Quake is sick."
Yeah,
Quake is great. So I would love to see a new Quake, but also Bethesda said they have a new RPG to show off that is not Fallout or Elder Scrolls.
All right, Square, calm down.
I'm just saying, Bethesda's sort in my good books right now, man.
No, I agree. I
have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for them. I don't like Elder Scrolls, but like, yo,
yeah, Elder Scrolls
I like what they do. They take risks. They do what Square should do.
Do you know what? It's not even risks. I don't think they even take risks. I think they just make solid, good games. And I think because they have that track record over the last 3 or 4 years, say since Dishonored, I guess, where they've just made consistently good games,
with different genres
Right.
as well.
It means that
that's
when
a
they
big
announce
thing.
something, you have confidence in it and you're interested in it. I don't even think it's particularly a risk. Like, the biggest risk you could argue they take is the idea that single player games aren't that popular anymore, which is just patently untrue. And so,
No, that's EA's.
no, but I'm
narrative.
just saying that's the video game narrative, is that you have to have.
That's not even a video game narrative. EA is trying to say that, and Square Enix is trying to say that, and everyone else are going like Sony, who is the biggest, is just like, no,
Well,
no.
I mean,
Just go, no.
let me reword it. The Western narrative is that single player games don't do as well as they should, or don't do that well compared to multiplayer games. And I understand the logic behind it, but the fact is that when Bethesda go, we've got a new thing, everyone expects it to be good, and they expect it to be good because they have a track record of being good. I don't even think they take risks. I think they're just smart.
I will say they do take risks. Like, I think, do you know the game Prey that came out last year?
Yeah.
That game's damn good.
Yeah.
I think that was Bethesda, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was made by.
That's a damn good game. Like, they published it.
Was it
it's
Arcane?
Yeah, Arcane Studios.
Yeah.
That is a double A game, as you would call it. Like, it's not
Yeah.
fully funded. It's not as rich, but like,
It's not Anthem.
there's so many things in that game that makes me go, this is just good. This is
Right.
what games should be. They take risks. They try different things. Like, it's not all military shooters or whatever. And it's like, Bethesda feels like they take that approach to everything they make. And it's something that I think they share with Ubisoft,
Well, like
which we're going to talk about.
Right, yeah, Ubisoft had that sort of space for a little bit, but EA, it's been this weird cycle where EA had it for a little bit, where they made Mirror's Edge, Dead Space, and something else I can't remember.
Speaking of which, I just remembered EA Skate 4.
Could not care less.
Really?
It's fine, but like, I'd be excited when it comes, but until then, it's just like a non-entity in my life.
I want to... It's the first thing EA's ever announced in a very, very, very long time that I've been like, ooh.
It could be really
Like-
good. It could be really, really good, and I'm hoping it's really good. And I suspect. Do you know what it is? It's that thing. Like I said, when Bethesda announced something, I'm excited because I know it'll probably be good. When EA announced something, I'm trying to figure out where the bullshittery begins.
Microtransactions.
Yeah, let's get some.
Loot
Listen, do you
boxes
want
for
a new
skateboards.
deck, bro? Get some new deck on your skateboard, mate. Come on,
Get some of them wheels.
get
Buy
wheels, mate.
loot boxes.
These
You wanna
wheels
play as
have
Tony
flames
Hawk?
that come out the back of them.
Ah, fucking.
I mean,
hell,
I'm excited
Alright.
for it, but I will wait until it comes out and see what happens.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to from EA this year?
EA. I'm excited to see if they carry on with the single player FIFA thing, the story mode in FIFA, because that's surprisingly good. It shouldn't be good, but it is, just because it's a dumb sports film essentially in FIFA, which I'm 100% okay with. Not that I would care or buy it, but I'd be interested to see if they carry on doing it. I'd be interested to see if, I don't think they will, but I want to know what else BioWare is working on. I don't think they will announce anything. I think they'll just stick to Anthem with that. I'm interested.
BioWare.
Go on. I know you have opinions. So
No, I'll get into BioWare. Like, I'll need a whole segment for
Okay,
BioWare.
fair.
So you just keep going.
I think I'm interested for. Do you know what? I'm interested in the Star Wars stuff just to see how they handle it. I'm more interested to see with EA how they handle things as opposed to what they announce. I don't think there's anything. I think Skate 4 would be the thing I'm most excited about that they could potentially announce, but or a new Burnout game. But
Ooh, yeah, Burnout. I forgot about Burnout.
But the Star Wars thing is interesting. I think probably what if I was them, short of announcing a new single player Star Wars game that's good, that Amy Hennig was working on but no longer is because they cancelled it. Short of announcing something like that, I think what they'll probably do is just give away some 3 DLC for Battlefront 2 and say, look, it's a really huge franchise for us. We want to make sure we do right by it. Here's some free awesome DLC. Come back next year where we have something big. I think is along the lines of what we'll see. They're not going to say sorry out loud, but they'll sort of try to make peace. So I'm more interested with EA with what they actually, how they handle what they have as opposed to what they announce, because I don't think they've got anything coming where I'm like, ooh, unless there's something hidden, but I don't think it is, because it sounded like they put all their eggs in the Star Wars basket and then kind of cancelled all that after it flopped. So
Like a kid that had some Easter eggs
Right.
and just stepped all over it.
Right, but
The Plus is like, what are you doing?
if they did announce a bio, I want to know what else BioWare's working on, but I doubt we'll hear anything about that.
Okay, on to my thoughts of EA.
Go on, lay it up,
Jeez,
lay it
man.
up. I want to hear you go on about
Oh,
BioWare for a
God.
bit.
It's not just it's EA in general, man. Like, do you want to know what I want to see from EA? If EA was to have a good E3 this year, like if every other E3 conference is being compared to Sony as the top, let's say they all have mountains to climb. EA has to basically go to fucking space to impress me. Skate 4 is a good start. Like I like that they're doing something out of what they normally do again for once. Like, let's say they brought back Dead Space with a Dead Space 4 or something new with Dead Space franchise. I'd be hyped for that.
Is that not what they did with Mirror's Edge Catalyst?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you mean like the whole reboot thing?
Yeah, it was like they brought back something that everyone loved, and they tried to make something that was smaller and not Anthem, and no one bought it.
The thing is, though, like Mirror's Edge didn't succeed the same way Dead Space did. Like, it never ever succeeded. It was like a cult classic. If you
No, I agree, but what I'm
liked
saying
it.
is like, isn't that sort of what you're saying? Like, you want them to sort of take a risk.
Oh yeah,
isn't
the whole
that what,
reboot refresh thing.
Isn't that what Mirror's Edge Catalyst was? The new Mirror's Edge.
Yeah. I didn't even mind when they did that. Like, even as you said earlier, Hitman is sort of that as well. I would love to see that. You know, I hate what they did to. Was it Respawn?
What?
No.
They did Titanfall.
The guy. No, not Respawn. The guys.
Are you talking about Visceral, the Dead Space people?
Visceral, that's it. Yeah, Visceral. I hate that they closed them down. And what else would I like to see? I'd like to see a new Fight Night. I would love to see a new Fight Night. Def Jam. Def Jam was EA, I think.
But we're never, it was, but we're never going to get another Def Jam again.
We're never going to get any Def Jam.
But yes, I agree. I only remember it was EA
Def Jam.
because at the beginning of Def Jam Fight for New York, D-Mob goes, challenge everything. And I was like, oh, we're here.
But like, EA is a bit like the Western version of Capcom, where it's like they have all these skeletons in their closets. They have all these things that they can do, and they don't, because they have this stupid idea right now that they need to only make a certain type of game that aren't even really games. Well, they're games, but they're not really. They're not meant to entertain you as much as they are just to rake in all the cash. They feel like a company first rather than a developer first.
Right, yeah.
Bethesda feels like a developer first. Ubisoft feels like a developer first. Sony recently feels like a developer first. EA feels like a business first and a developer second. And that's the problem with them.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I was talking to one of my friends about the idea of competition, like in the marketplace, in video games specifically, and what that meant for the quality of games for people and like how we move forward. And it feels like there's enough people in the marketplace, there's enough major businesses in the marketplace to actually compete. And what we should be seeing is people creating progressively better and better experiences for people who play games. But instead what we're getting is them competing.
And we see that for a few companies though.
Right, but the general trend tends to be companies competing against themselves to make the most money, which is what they would do because it's the free marketplace. That's how that works. But what I'm saying is we see loot boxes and microtransactions and they seem to be competing with each other to see what they can get away with to make more and more money, as opposed to making more money by providing better experiences. And that's the reason why PlayStation is so far ahead of Xbox. But it's interesting to me that EA are like, they've got so much capital. They've got so much capital. They've got the biggest franchise in the world in Star Wars. They've got all the flipping sports games in the world they want. They could be creating really, really progressive, interesting stuff, but instead they choose to mess around and be stupid. And it's
it really, you know, as a gamer, I know it sounds like I'm just being over dramatic, but it breaks your heart to see one of our biggest developers and publishers just act like an idiot. And it hurts me the most with BioWare. Like, I have a long history with BioWare. Like, for the longest period of time, they were my favorite developers of all time. Like, it went Capcom at first, then it was BioWare after that, now it's Rockstar. But like, BioWare, the way they do dialogue, the way that they do companions, the way that they make their stories and make an interesting world, it's like, they were second to none in my eyes. And it's like to see now them just making Anthem, and it's like, what are you doing? And then to see reports of how if Anthem doesn't do well, BioWare might go under, or the way that they treated Mass Effect Andromeda, and just the way that they're trying to turn BioWare, which is a single player primary thing, into this multiplayer thing, has me just go, yeah, this is like the 5th, 6th studio you've done this to, meaning that I'll probably never see BioWare again. It's gonna take
I don't know. I mean,
EA.
did you play the Star Wars MMO that BioWare made?
The Old Republic.
Yeah, that's what it's called, right? The new one. I get confused between it. Yeah, oh, yeah. Swole, yeah.
Like, I played a bit of it. It was a bit boring, though. I'm not an MMO guy, but the one that came before that, Nitro, the Old Republic 1 and 2, I loved to death.
I agree, but I was like,
love
I'm just
both
trying
of
to think of like modern day BioWare, and I think
Mass Effect, Dragon Age, I love those two. Jade Empire, I love that as well.
Dragon Age is for
And it's
nerds,
like-
but I mean,
I love Dragon Age. Like, that's actually the one thing that I want to see the most, is Dragon Age 4. But I doubt I would see it.
I think it's a year too early. I
really
think we
do.
see Dragon Age next year.
It's not even a year too early. Dragon Age Inquisition came out in 2014.
Yeah, but we've had another game in
years
between
ago.
it. We've had Inquisition, and then if you think about BioWare largely as two teams, right? You've got Anthem, and then you had Mass Effect. So the Mass Effect team then go on to do Dragon Age. So if you think about it in those terms, I think it's a year too early for another, because those games are very, very big. So I think it's probably a year too early to see that. I think they announce it next year, and then we get it
And
in
it makes me
2020.
think that I don't think we'll get it. I think if Anthem doesn't do well, BioWare is just going to be closed down by
No,
EA.
I doubt it highly.
Like, looking at EA's history, I think that would just happen. Like, they would just turn BioWare into EA.
I think the
And
only
it
reason
has
I
me
doubt it
really
is
sad.
like, if you look at Visceral was like a single studio that sort of had a couple of flops in a row in Dead Space 3, Battlefield Hardline. They had a couple of flops in a row, and then they went. If you look at I don't know, other ones they closed down, but I'm going. My brain always goes back to Bullfrog, despite the fact that was so long ago. But that's just because I love the Bullfrog games. But
Hype for that due to Theme Hospital.
2 Point Hospital, I am actually very
I'm
excited.
so ready for
I
that.
am actually very excited for that. But
Yes.
BioWare, like, they've put a lot of money into BioWare. BioWare's run MMOs for them. They make huge single player games, but they've also got like several studios at this point. I think BioWare across 3, maybe it's either 2 or 3 studios, and I don't think
They have Montreal,
they've
and they have another one.
they have Edmonton, they have Montreal, and I think they've got one in Texas. I think I might have to double check that. But what I'm saying is I doubt as much. They seem to be putting a hell of a lot into Anthem to make it. I think they're trying to basically beat Destiny at its own game, which it will be better than Destiny because Destiny is rubbish. So I doubt it will. I doubt it will close the studio. But I think I'm glad that the Star Wars thing has happened before Anthem has come out, because I think
the
it's
whole
probably
Star Wars bullshit that's happened with the loot box.
yeah, because I think they've probably had to significantly change their practices because of that. So we'll see how that
But I
ends up
think-
playing out.
Like, that's 2 reasons for them to just change everything so quickly. A lot of groundwork that they set, they're gonna have to see out, and then after that,
I agree. I think by
try
and
and
large
become a
we'll
bit
still
more
see the
user-friendly.
same game as we would have seen, but
And
they would have had to change their practices. I don't think they would have been able to. I think if you think about like the timeline of progression on where microtransactions and loot boxes were going, at least, I think Anthem would have probably been even worse than Battlefront 2. And now this has happened, like, getting loot boxes and microtransaction isn't the biggest hassle. It's not as big as, say, something, I don't know, gameplay wise. I think they probably would be able to change that within the time period, given the fact have they already delayed it? I feel like they've delayed it.
yeah, they've delayed it. I think they're gonna delay it again, honestly.
That's what I mean. I think there's enough time for them to change that game and make it better than it was, but I'm not excited for it at all, don't get me wrong.
That's the problem. Like, they're putting everything on this one game. That's the only other thing they're making aside from sports games, aside from Skate 4, which is great. As I said, they're diversifying, but they're putting everything on that one game that is only appealing to people who like games like Destiny and The Division, and seemingly like MMOs and stuff. But as I said, EA has to go to fucking space.
Yeah, I
Very
don't
impressed me at this
expect
point.
anything out of this at all.
Like if I see Pele again, I'm just. Going to...
Bring him back. Listen, yeah.
If I see Pele again,
you absolute football heathen, yeah. Pele is the greatest footballer to ever live. If he wants to sit on stage at E3 and talk about footy for a good solid 45 minutes, then let the man. He deserves it. He can do what he wants.
Charlie, you know it's gonna be Serena Williams on stage talking about
she's a good tennis player. I don't care, but she's a good tennis player. Get her on stage. I want her and Pele on stage for at least an hour combined. At least.
If that happens, I will personally murder you. I'll find you and kill you for putting that into the space.
Come on, bring it on. Bring it. I want Serena Williams, I want Venus Williams, I want the sisters, right? And I want them to have a live game of tennis on stage. Table tennis. Table tennis. But I want, as they hit the ball in table tennis, I want them to make the same loud shouts and grunts they would have made anyway in real tennis. And it just
really almost sensual.
And I want it to be like everyone else to be dead silent and just absorb it in all of its totality. It's going to be amazing.